русском, на каком-то языке нашему. Ну почему? Потому что это первое мероприятие нашего форума, которое сегодня будет долго-долго, и надеюсь, что все переместятся на корабль, который долго-долго до 7 часов просто нашим залом, кораблем, плавом, и еще и отметим день корпоративного, потому что 5 лет назад говорили, что этот день будет только днем конференции, но и праздник, нашим профессиональным праздником. Вот. Но первое наше мероприятие, конечно, очень важное, очень интересное, очень нетрадиционное, нетипичное. Да, мы с удовольствием представляем наших партнеров, таким партнерством, да, с Британским институтом корпоративного управления. Очень долгое институт, Британский институт корпоративных старей, история более 120 лет. Это очень заведение. И, конечно, если говорить о корпоративных старей, то я не знаю, более организации здесь. Вот в прошлом году мы заключили договор о сотрудничестве с этой организацией, и благодаря этому стали единственным, по-моему, в СНГ даже аккредитованным экзаменационным центром института. То есть учиться, конечно, надо в институте, да, на экзамены сдавать, а про язычных экзаменов, если получить полный курс 5. Вот, то есть это надо 8, да, я не прав. Вот. Но это зависит от того, что считать полным курсом, да. И это надо поехать, было поехать в Лондон 8 раз, да, получить британскую 8 раз, да. И, ну, я уже не говорю о том, что там учиться, платье получить, так далее. Это было достаточно тяжело, поэтому достаточно мало людей у нас территории СНГ имеет такие квалификации. После того, как мы этот договор подписали, все экзамены можно сдавать здесь, заранее предупредить институт. Это, конечно, большое очень дело. Да, все задачи мы получим от института, мы откроем конверт, мы засечем время, мы будем контролировать, чтобы вы не списывали, мы отправим, запечатаем и отправим готовые, сделанные вами работы, и вы получите или не получите сертификат, в зависимости от того, как вы это делали. Но вот сэкономите, конечно, на поездке, на виде, на времени и так далее. Это, конечно, большое. Кроме того, благодаря этому договору мы, Украина, попали в список стран, которые имеют возможность получить небольшую, но все-таки скидку на обучение. Это тоже, в принципе, приятно. Поэтому а что можно получить, обучаясь, да, и как это все происходит, какие программы есть, какие возможности есть. Естественно, вы услышите из первых уст, и я с удовольствием представляю вам директора Британского института корпоративных старей Саймона Осборна. Саймон, let's go.
I am tweeting.
Thank you. I see. Thank you very much for your visit.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
your
very much.
visit.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you in advance for your presentation. And
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It may help. Your English is going to be better than my Ukrainian.
probably mine was better than mine.
And Teresa and I will remember, or try to remember, to speak more slowly.
Yes.
If there are English expressions in our presentations which don't translate well into Ukrainian, just stop us. And we will try to simplify and explain, all right? Natalia's warned me of one already, the marzipan layer. So think of a Christmas cake. But anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation from the Ukrainian Corporate Governance Institute. Thank you for all the work you've done to arrange this and make us welcome. My colleague Teresa Мінні has to fly back to London early this afternoon. So in a sense, our presentations are in the wrong order. So if you can forgive us for that, Teresa will start, I will follow, and I hope that you find what you hear interesting about ICSA, and I'll tell you more about ICSA a little later on. Okay? Thank you very much. Right. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, is that you? Right, okay.
Let them swap seats first.
Hot seat, yes.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me here to come and talk to you. My first time in the Ukraine. I haven't seen very much of it, and I certainly hope I'll be able to come back and actually explore the country a little bit more. The little bit I've seen, I'm very, very intrigued and interested in. My name is Teresa Мінні. I'm the head of outreach at the ICSA, the Governance Institute in the UK. I've been with the Institute for 19 years, which is quite a long time. And during that time, the majority of my time has been spent looking after members, students, exams, helping with qualifications. And my role changed about 2 years ago. In case you don't realise, but you will at the end of this presentation, I love talking, so Simon thought I would be better to actually go out and try and get rid of some of the excess words that I have to say. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to speak to you about the qualifications update. Like Simon said, our presentations would normally be the other way around. He would explain to you about the Institute, and then I would explain to you about the qualifications. But because I have to fly back because I'm off again next week, I'm going to first speak about the qualifications. So, my aim is to actually speak about the current qualifications that are available, our new syllabus, because our professional program, our qualifying scheme is changing, so I'll speak a little bit about that and talk to you about the new syllabus on it. Our fast track route. How many of you here are qualified lawyers or accountants? So there are quite a few of you, okay. So I will mainly look at the fast track route. I will also look at the governance professional routes that we have as well as the standalone qualifications. The costs and the next step, how you can be assessed to see whether you're suitable to do the fast track route. How we are looking at supporting you through your studies. And then there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. So whether we will wait for Simon's presentation first and then we ask questions, or depending on how quickly I finish, whether I'll have time to take some questions before I have to shoot off, okay? I have got some business cards on the desk, so if you do have a question that you think of afterwards, please pick up one of the cards, drop me an email, and I will get back to you on it, okay? So these are some of the current qualifications we've got available. As I said, I'm looking at the chartered qualification and the governance qualification. Simon will go across the slightly larger suite of it. So our chartered qualification is now called ICSA Qualifying Program. For the last almost 10 years, it's been called the Chartered Secretaries Qualifying Scheme, CSQS, because we make lots of long names and then just use acronyms on them to shorten it. That program was first introduced in 2009, first exam in 2010. It's normally for any professional body to review a program and make sure that it's fit for purpose, and obviously change it for the current market, which is what we've done. We've been doing for the last 4 years after a lot of research. You can attain a chartered qualification by doing our ICSA qualifying program, or you can do it through an accredited postgraduate qualification, which is run by universities, which again, Simon will speak a little bit more about. These are specialist governance qualifications. These are standalone. They don't give you chartered status, but they are standalone qualifications. One exam, you can complete them within 3 to 4 months. We have a level 4 certificate in corporate governance. Level 4 is the first year of a degree, so I don't know what levels you have here at your universities, but this would be the equivalent of a first year of your degree. And it's very much for people who are coming new into the market, into the governance market, maybe assisting the company secretary, maybe assisting the governance officer. This will give them an insight into corporate governance, okay? We then have our level 6 advanced certificate in corporate governance. That is, I'm going to talk about that separately at the end, because if you don't feel at this stage you want to do the full program, you may consider getting a governance qualification as a standalone. And that is obviously aimed at, it's a level 6, which is the last year of a degree in the UK, and it's aimed at people who are already working within the profession. I've put this on just because it is one of our governance ones. Also, we have a health service governance module, which is for our people working within our NHS, in our National Health Service there. We have a sports governance set at the level 4. We have a certificate in charity law and governance, and we have an academy governance module. These are very much support modules within these different sectors. So, like I said, we have a new syllabus for a new qualifying scheme. Our current CSQS is still running for 2 more exam sessions, and I'll explain a little bit about that as well. So I'm going to go through the new, the content, just the headlines of what the modules are, and then I'll talk about the routes to qualifying and becoming chartered. So this is what our new syllabus is going to look like. At the moment, we have no foundation program, so students coming in to do our professional qualification, if they don't have that underpinning knowledge, are actually struggling to be able to get through. So we've reviewed this, and we've now brought in a foundation program, and this is very much aimed at people, junior staff who are coming into the profession, or people who don't have, a person who doesn't have a relevant degree, and it's 4 modules, only 1 exam. You can do it within, again, 3 to 4 months. It is very much an introduction to the business environment, introduction to accounting and law, and then compliance and administration, which is your more technical corporate secretarial information there. We went out to, we had a survey done, and a lot of research done, speaking to our members, to our students, to board members, to employers. What do you need? A governance professional going in the boardroom, or a company secretary going in the boardroom, what are the skill sets you need? In our current qualification, because like I said, it's still, the CSQS, excuse me, is still current, it's still running for 2 more exam sessions. We have 8 modules for you to complete. We have 2 law modules and 2 finance modules in there, and then the final one is over covering case study. The feedback we got was that our law and finance, we were maybe over-examining on it. So we were asked to please streamline it. So we've streamlined our law and finance modules into 1 only. And what we have done is we have brought in 2 brand new modules, risk management and boardroom dynamics. So you would come through, if you're fast track, I'll speak about that, you only have to do 2 of the modules. This is all, the part 1 is all set at a level 6, so it's the final year of your degree. This is your very technical stuff. So it's your corporate governance, company law, interpreting financial and accounting information, and your company compliance and administration. So you can see when I spoke about the foundation, how this feeds in, if you don't have that underpinning knowledge, how it feeds into this sector here. Once you've completed that, you would then move on to the part 2, and this is your softer skills, and this is set at a level 7, which is the equivalent of a master's in the UK. So you do your development of strategy. Like I said, risk management is a brand new module that's coming in after the June exams next year. This will only be available after the June 2019 exams. But I felt I needed to tell you about it so that you know what the changes are going to be and you can make a choice, okay? Risk management goes hand in hand with your corporate governance. And then we have boardroom dynamics, which teaches you the softer skill about how to run a board effectively, efficiently, how to handle conflict within the boardroom, how to handle the different people that you've got in those boardrooms, and the different dynamics coming from each, and the conflict that may arise from that. So that module will actually teach you how to handle that and how to help the chairman to run the board more effectively. So this is what our new modules are going to look like. Doing away with the case study, and there's also a very clear route to progression on it, because you cannot move on to the top part till you finish the bottom part. Also, I'd like to mention that with this, you're not just getting one chartered qualification, you're actually getting two. So upon completion of your part 2, as long as you have sufficient work experience, you will get a chartered secretary post-nominals. You will also get chartered governance professional post-nominals after it as well. So you're actually getting 2 for the price of 1, only sitting the 1 set of exams. We've expanded our exemption routes in. Again, this, Simon will talk about the validated postgraduate programs. If you have none of these qualifications, it is compulsory for that person to do the foundation entry program. If you've got a non-finance or law-related degree with less than 5 years working as a governance professional or within a company secretariat, you are required to do the foundation entry. We have, the majority of our students coming through are either qualified lawyers, accountants, or they have a law or finance degree, but we do have a number coming through with degrees who could be in beautician. They don't have that underpinning knowledge, and if they're not working within the area, they are going to struggle with the exams, and that's why it would be compulsory for them to do the foundation entry. If they're working within the area and they've got more than 5 years experience, they would have to prove that to us. They would then start on the part 1. They won't receive any exemptions. HND in law, which is a higher national diploma, and I know you have different national diplomas here as well. If it's in law, accounting, or business management, this is our offshore, very much for our offshore students. So if they've completed our diploma in that, they would start on the part 1. Again, no exemptions would be available. They'd be required to do all 7 modules. If you've got a law or finance degree, you would come in a related degree entry. You would get be awarded an exemption from one of the modules. Normally with the law, it would be with the law module, and the finance with the finance module. And of course, if you're a qualified lawyer or a qualified accountant, you can come in on our fast track. If you've got less than 5 years experience post-qualifying, you'll come in at our professional entry. We will award you some exemptions, but you will be required to do more than 2 modules. However, if you're a qualified lawyer or accountant with more than 5 years experience, and I'll show you the areas that we're looking for you to be working in, you could potentially come on the fast track professional, do 2 modules, and literally be qualified and get your 2 chartered qualifications within a year. Okay? So I'm going to speak to you a little bit more about the fast track professional, because obviously there's quite a few qualified people within the room here. I'm going to speak to you about an e-learning pilot that we trialed for this exam session. We've just had our exams. Our exams are always in June and November of each year, and that is regardless of whether you're doing a full qualification or you're doing a standalone qualification. The entry requirements, the next step if you're interested, and I'll speak a little bit about the e-learning pilot that we've got running at the moment. So, as I said earlier, our CSQS is still running. That is still got 2 exam sessions. We've just had our June session last week. We've now got June next year, November this year and June next year. So the new qualifying program that I've shown the syllabus of will only come after the June exams next year. So there's no change to what you need to do. So you'll see on the next slide the 2 modules you need to do on the current program. Oh, sorry, on this slide I should say. So if you register between now and 1st of April 2019, you will take the 2 current modules, which is corporate secretarial practice. Once you've passed that, you would then do the case study, and you'd then be qualified. This is only for the 2 more exam sessions. And although I said the exams are in June and November of each year, I've got 1st of April 2019 as the last time you can enter for it, because that is our closing date that you can register as a student and enter for the exams to sit the exams in June. We have to have a period where we can obviously prepare everything in all the rooms, because we service approximately between 85 to 100 countries worldwide with our exams. For November exams, the closing date would be the 1st of October. So if you're thinking about joining now, this is the route you'll take, okay? You can start it now and you can actually finish it because you've got 2 exam sessions left. So you could do the corporate secretarial practice in the case study and become qualified. If you are partway through and you haven't completed by the time the new syllabus comes in, you'll be transitioned across to the new program and you will then be given whichever relevant module to sit for that, on the new syllabus. If you're going to start on the new program, when that comes in, so anybody registers after the 2nd of April will take corporate governance and risk management. And part of the reason why these 2 modules were chosen is because you get the chartered governance professional qualification with it as well. So we need to make sure that you have sufficient skills within that area as well. The first exam of these will take place in November 2019. Study texts and sample exam papers and everything should be ready around about June or July of 2019 as well. So, how do you know if you're eligible for fast track? Well, the main criteria, of course, is that you've got to be either a qualified lawyer or accountant. You can't just hold a degree, you have to be a fully qualified lawyer or accountant. You've got to be qualified for more than 5 years and you've got to have relevant post-qualifying experience. You must be a current member of your bar or law society within your jurisdiction. You'll see there I've got all compliant with qualified lawyers transfers, because I know in some countries you have to do transfer exams before you can become a qualified lawyer within that jurisdiction. Qualified accountants must be a current member in one of the following, which is CIMA, ACCA, ICAEW, or of course your local recognized accounting body here. So how do you apply? You can do this online. You can upload your CV online. You can upload your certified certificates online. Doesn't cost you anything. You complete the application form, you upload it, the team will then assess it and come back to you and tell you whether you're eligible or not. Or you can post it and or email it to the team. I've got their email address at the end. You have to submit a full CV outlining the experience within these areas. So the COSEC and legal work, well, if you're a qualified lawyer, you'd already have that side of it. Corporate governance, what areas you cover in corporate governance, financial management, committee administration and accounting, general management, pensions, insurance. You do not have to have experience in all of these areas, but we would like them in the larger number of the areas. So what I would say to you is your CV needs to be tailored and show very, very clearly how it maps back to these areas. So when you're putting your CV there, it's not just I'm the compliance officer or the governance officer for here, this is what my job role is. You need a little bit more about your job role so that the team can properly assess you and make sure that you can come on to the program. You have to send certified proof of your legal or accounting qualification, and very importantly, a certified certificate copy of your date of admission to membership, because if you don't meet that 5 years post-qualifying, unfortunately you will go on to the other entry, not onto the fast track entry. So this is the initial information that we need from you to be able to assess whether you can go on the fast track and only do the 2 modules. Once you've been accepted onto the program, You would then complete the registration form, exam entry forms, because we would obviously like you to come on and to enter for the exams at the next relevant exam session. You would submit the forms together with the required fee. The fee is here is £1,230. It does not include your study textbooks, and it doesn't include any tuition, okay? We do have the e-learning. This tuition I'm talking about is your face-to-face tuition or your distance learning tuition that you'd be looking at. Included in the fees is your initial registration fee, your first annual subscription fee. All our students and our members pay an annual subscription fee to maintain their membership and to maintain access to all the relevant thought leadership, guidance notes and everything that Simon's going to be talking to you about that is available to all our members and students. It includes all the exemption fees because you're only entering 2 exams, and it also gives you 1 exam entry for each of those applicable modules, okay? So that's what's included in your fees. Simon will talk a little bit more about the other benefits that you will get from it. You will also have access to your, before I go on to the e-learning, to a secure area of our website which is called your My ICSA, which will have webinars and a lot of other information on there, past papers and that you can look at, suggested answers. We also have extracts from students who we've asked their permission. It's obviously anonymous, but we have an example of what a good answer is and why somebody may have got a distinction for that answer, and a bad answer, why somebody failed on that question. And it's to give you guidance on how you should answer the questions and what you should be making sure that you put within that paper. I would like to point out all our exams are handwritten. They're all in English. They're all 3 hours long with 15 minutes reading time, okay? So you will get 15 minutes to read through, and we would advise, we have webinars that will advise you on that, on picking out your keywords, underlining them, and make sure you're making the best use of that 15 minutes reading time, so that if they're asking you to explain something or to just list something, that you're not going to write 2 pages when you could have just listed 10 items, okay? So we've got an e-learning pilot. We just launched it for the June exams. It's part of our plan to try and enhance and facilitate student success. We don't want you as a student for 20, 30, 40 years. We'd rather have you as a member for that time. Not that you'd last for 20, 30 years as a student, but I'm just saying we would rather have you as a member for all of that time. And so we want to try and get you, we don't want our students to fail. We want you to get through the exams and to get your full membership, and to obviously enjoy the benefits of being a member with us. All our qualifications also are completely transferable and transportable. You can take them anywhere in the world and work anywhere in the world without having to redo exams, which is very unusual for professional qualification. And we have openings all over the world for chartered governance professionals and for chartered secretaries. So back to the e-learning. So what we're asking students to do who have signed up to use it for this session was to please feedback. How did you find it? How did it help you? We will also be analysing the exam results from all students who actually used the e-learning pilot scheme, okay? So, at the moment, it's going to be limited to the fast track, to the 2 modules, the corporate secretarial practice and the chartered secretary's case study. It will be put across when the new qualification comes in. If we feel it is successful and it is helping the students, we will then look at doing e-learning right across all the modules on the new program, okay? The corporate secretarial practice went out, like I said, it's 25 hours of video lectures. You can watch it at any time, at your convenience. It does not replace your study textbook. You have to use your study textbook still. But it will cover all areas of the syllabus. So you study, you can watch for 1 hour during your lunchtime or whatever, or one chapter, and then pick it up the next night or the next lunchtime. We also have further resources in there, which is examples of exam questions. So they'll give you examples of that and examples of what the good answers are on that. Reading, webinars, we have webinars for our students. Exam preparation, guidance also. We also have, besides this webinar, we also have separate webinars which is available to all our students, which will tell you how to put a study plan together, which keywords to look for when you're doing an exam. We also have, it's not really a revision webinar, although it could be although it's part of your revision, but it wouldn't be the sole thing that you use, is a webinar that is done by the chief examiner, and he will tell you what he's looking for when you're answering your questions. He obviously won't give you the questions in the forthcoming paper because he would be fired then, but he will at least give you an idea of what he's looking for when you're answering the questions, okay? And the Chartered Secretary case study will be available in September. Like I said, this is only for two more exam sessions, but if this is successful, we will roll it out right across the whole suite of qualifications and eventually to our lower level qualifications too. So that's all about our chartered qualifications, okay? So if you're looking to become chartered and to be able to enhance your careers, and like I said, take it anywhere in the world, I promise you that once you're qualified, if you're looking to go anywhere in the Caribbean for a while, I will put you in touch with the recruiters there who are begging for fully qualified people to go out there. But that's not the only jurisdiction. There's a shortage of chartered secretaries. Now is the best time for people doing this qualification because there is a major shortage of chartered secretaries and chartered governance professionals. There is a shortage of those skill sets in the workplace in a lot of jurisdictions. So if you feel, well, I don't really want to do that whole qualification, even though it's only 2 modules for most of you, but you want a governance qualification, a standalone one, you can do our advanced certificate in corporate governance. You can do this within 3 to 4 months. I'm going to just cover the headlines of the course content, who it's aimed at, and the cost. And the cost will come with a health warning, I must just tell you, which my dear leader has reminded me of when he saw the price, because we don't think it's correct. Right, so the course will cover the general principles of corporate governance, legal and regulatory aspects, the codes and reports on it, how to apply the rules and the principles within within companies, what the role of the company secretary is within that whole governance arena. You learn all about the board of directors or the board of governors if you're in an academy. The remuneration, which is a big contention in the UK still at the moment about remuneration of directors and the senior executives. Reporting to shareholders and audits, relationships with the shareholders. Risk management, as I said, risk management goes hand in hand with corporate governance, good corporate governance. Internal controls that need to be put in place to make sure that the company is running the best that they can. And then, of course, your corporate social responsibility and sustainability as well, okay? So that's the content of the course. This is exactly the same module as we've got in our qualifying program, okay? But there is a big market out there for this as a standalone. Some people do this first and then decide to do the qualifying scheme. So you can do that. We're not going to ask, if you don't do the fast track route, and you've done this, and you decide to do the qualifying program, we're not then going to say to you, now you need to resit this. You'll get a credit for it, okay? So, who is it aimed at? And this is really just a headline, and it goes much wider than this. So it's anybody who's working within the company secretariat or in a governance team. compliance officers, risk managers. You need to understand about good corporate governance, and anybody who's in a legal or accounting position who undertakes governance duties. Very often, if you're a lawyer or you're an accountant, a lot of the governance roles or the COSEC roles will come across your desk, and you'll be expected to fulfill those. And we will give you the skills to be able to do that properly. So the study time is 150 hours. This is for our current module, okay? On the new one, it is 200 hours. And the reason for that is because we've gone down from 8 modules to 7. But for it to be recognized as the equivalent of an academic master's, we have to have sufficient study hours and content there to maintain it at the correct level. So this one will change, as will the other ones, to 200 hours. It's only a recommended study time. I'm not saying that's absolutely what you've got to do, because if you're working within the area, and depending on how you are, you may find that you don't need to have as many study hours. Like I said, 3-hour exam, closed book. All our exams are closed book. This comes with a health warning, because I will get them to double check the price, and I will let Natalia know the correct price for it.
I'm onto it.
Oh, you're onto it, thank you. So,
they're on it.
thank you, dear leader. Right, great. So that gives your registration as a student, your study textbook, your exam entry, and access to your My ICSA and the past papers. You'll see here it doesn't include an annual subscription fee, because to do a standalone module, you're not paying a subscription fee for that year, because you should be able to complete this within 3 to 4 months. However, once you've completed, you can then apply for affiliated membership. Remember, you're not chartered, but you still want to have those post-nominals after your name to show that you belong to the Institute and to maintain your membership with the Institute, and to show people that you have done at least one of our standalone qualifications. And you can use the post-nominals CIS, which is Chartered Institute of Secretaries, and in brackets affiliated after your name. And this is, like I said, it's one of our additional memberships that we have. It is not the chartered membership, okay? So that was quite a whistle-stop tour for you. Our website, if you want more information, is www.icsa.org.uk. Email one of the team on studentsupport@icsa.org.uk. If you go onto our website and you go under qualifications, that's where if you hit on the fast track, you can upload your stuff there for the team to assess it. Or, like I said, you can scan it, email it through to them. And if you have burning questions afterwards and I've left the building, my card is there for you to email me or ask me to give you a call. If you want me to have a one-to-one with you, I'm more than happy to call you back and to have a chat with you. Okay, so thank you very, very much. Do you want me to take questions now, or
yes,
is that okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any burning questions? Sorry, before Simon comes on. No. So I explained it, hopefully, quite clearly and slowly. It's okay. Okay. Good. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
It got a little complicated because we're changing from one qualification to a new one. I think a better one, and therefore, in the transition, some people, it can be a little difficult, but I hope that was as clear as we could make it. Okay, good. And I've already sent an email to the office about the price of the advanced certificate in corporate governance, because I think that is, something's wrong there. Can I just, how many of you are lawyers?
That's quite a few.
Right, keep them up, sorry. Right. Nothing to be ashamed of. I'm a lawyer too. How many accountants? Right, 2. Put them down quickly. Yeah. That's a lot to be ashamed of. No, I'm joking. I'm sorry. Although the quality of audits is a big problem at the moment, isn't it? I think, yeah. Oh, really? Well, I hope we can help. All right. Okay.
There we are,
Are you
dear
done?
leader.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Now,
As you'll notice, I do call him dear leader. That's what we call him in our office, not chief executive, but dear leader. So, so please feel free to refer to him as dear leader.
let me just plug this in. I can't tweet while I'm talking. So,
Oh, do you want me to?
no, it's all right. That's fine. Yeah, you tweet. Right, where am I? Yes. ICSA, we are a strange creature, an unusual organisation. In the past, the only way that people could form a company was to submit a petition to the King or the Queen for permission to incorporate as a corporate entity. And the document that was issued was called a Royal Charter. And that charter set out the constitution of the organisation. Now, over time, we've seen the development of the joint stock company, and there's now a separate legal process for incorporating a company, whether it's a publicly quoted company or a private company, companies for charities, for educational bodies. But the Royal Charter process still exists, but mainly for professional organisations like ours, which are not for profit. So that is what we are. So I'm going to talk about who we are, our purpose, our networks, a little more about the qualifications, but perhaps at a higher level than Teresa was, some of our flagship events, some of the thought leadership work we do, and there are some examples I think outside on the table, and then how you can join. Now, we're an international body. We were incorporated in 1891. 18 corporate secretaries got together in a coffee shop in London and decided that there ought to be a separate, distinct professional body, separate from the lawyers and from the accountants, representing corporate secretaries. There have always been secretaries. It comes from the Latin word meaning keeper of secrets. And that is what a good corporate secretary does, because you learn a lot and you just have to sort of lock it away in there until it's needed. We operate, we were founded in London, we now operate internationally. We have divisions in Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, which also covers the Republic of China, Macau and Taiwan. Malaysia, Singapore, Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, which is the 5 southernmost countries of the continent of Africa. And then Canada, and the newest division is the one I head, of which I'm chief executive, which is for UK, and that's Ireland. And because we used to be the headquarters body, we've got members in about 60 other countries. So that's why I'm here today. So I look after Ukraine as well. And all sorts of interesting places I've got. I've mentioned the Royal Charter, so that is our governing body, and we have a Royal Charter and we have bylaws made under the Royal Charter governing how we organise ourselves. And we're united by an international qualifying standard. So our governing international council has a professional standards committee, and that committee has recently revised the international standard to bring the quality of the exams up in all 9 divisions of the Institute. And we have the qualification is a master's level qualification. Now, what do we do? Well, we want to qualify, support, and champion the value of governance professionals and good governance practice. Now, I think when people didn't really talk about corporate governance until around the time of 1991, 1992, when the Cadbury report on, this was actually about governance in accounting, in financial governance, but from 1992 through to the present day, the focus on the need for governance has really grown. And some of our older members probably still say, oh, governance, it's a passing fad. People will lose interest, it will change. They won't. It won't, it's here to stay. Because if you don't have good governance, people suffer. If you look at the problems in, for example, Afghanistan, when there's a complete breakdown in governance, who suffer? Ordinary people. When companies don't realise their role in society, don't think about their role in society, their governance is out of alignment with the needs and the culture of the country in which they operate. So governance is important. So we promote good governance, high quality governance, the services we provide, our qualifications, we make representation to government, regulators and policy makers. We do that particularly in the UK, but also in Ireland as well, and in the Crown dependencies of Guernsey and Jersey in the Isle of Man. We have quite a lot of original research and content. I think outside you'll find a report on conflict and tension in the boardroom, which we did a joint project with Henley Business School. And you can download that off our website as well. And we also do a lot of advocacy work at conferences, speaking at organisations, events, and visiting the Ukrainian Corporate Governance Institute. So this is our structure. We've got in the UK and the Crown dependencies now, we've got 16 branches, 14 in territories outside the UK and Ireland that we look after. We've got these special interest groups as well. So there, that's just what we've got in the UK and Ireland and the Crown dependencies, these different branches. You can't have a member organisation without branches. People need to be able to come together. Who knows, we might get a Kiev branch. In the other countries that we look after, we've got branches going in all of those countries. Next week, Teresa and I are visiting Ghana. We visited Uganda in March, and Teresa went on to Zambia. And I visited the United Arab Emirates in April and Cyprus as well. So we try and get a visit once every year to 18 months. And it's just to help them along, promote the institute. So we believe that support for our members is vital. It really is, and that includes in a tangible way coming out and meeting people. We have, in this age of diversity, we still have an association of women chartered secretaries, and a very good association it is too, with a good membership. And it's a mix of, as you would expect for a group of women chartered secretaries, they have a mixture of CPD events, but they also have interesting social events as well. I'm going to their party on the 5th of July. I want to be their first honorary woman. We'll see. We have, for those chartered secretaries who work in the high street, looking after different clients, we have a group for them. We have the Christian Fellowship. The registrars, they deal with share registration practice, the business of share registration, all that goes with that. So we have a group for them. The City of London has all these livery companies you may have heard of, and there's a livery company in the City of London for chartered secretaries as well. And then we have a student forum in the UK, and our students support that and tell us what they think. they tell us quite loudly what they think, which is a good thing. No, it is good. It is, because this is, the profession will be their profession when they qualify. So it's right while they're students, they have a voice that they're able to speak. So some of the things Teresa was talking about, you've got across the top there, academies, you know, we have free schools in the UK, so we have a qualification for them, one for governments and charities. We have a program for international financial centres. You know, there's about 55 international financial centres around the world. I never realised there were so many. It's incredible. For the health service, we have a program, one on sports governance. I think sport is an area where there has been, over the years, a history of abuse. Physical abuse, sexual abuse, and particularly for apprentices coming through, particularly in football. There's been a lot of abuse by coaches and managers of young people. And that's, you know, people in sport say we're different. They're not. Increasingly, sports organisations are receiving a lot of public money. And I expect it's the same here. You have a very good cycling team, don't you, in Ukraine? I think. Yeah.
Not many sports in this.
Sorry?
Not many sports in this room.
Not this one. They're a good cycling team. Very good cycling team. But you know, they're receiving public money, and therefore they should be accountable for the way they organise themselves and how they spend that money. And if you think, you know, you go along to a sporting event, is it cheap to go to a top class football match in? Not cheap. Yeah, well, that's, you know, you're paying for that. How are they spending your money? What are you getting back for what you pay?
Emotions.
We've got the main qualifying scheme Teresa talked about, the new one. And then we've got these, level 4 is first year UK undergraduate level. Level 6 is final year, third year. How long are your undergraduate degrees? 3 years or 4? 4. So I'm not quite sure what the correlation is between the UK standard and the Ukrainian, but we pitch level 6 at final year undergraduate. And then we do 4 certificates with partners there in share registration, Irish company law, charity law, and I forget what we do with Kensington.
Share registration.
Share registration, right. So that's a pretty big suite of qualifications, either a standalone or the full qualification. We also have partnerships with 7 UK universities. And they offer degrees, master's degrees in corporate governance, which have to, the syllabus for the degree has to match 80% of our syllabus. The other 20% they can do other things. And I know that some of them, if this interests you, do these degrees by, you know, you can sign up as a part-time student doing it by distance learning. It is possible. Northampton certainly do that. And as Teresa was saying, if you get the degree from one of these universities and are registered as a student of ICSA, when you qualify, you get the 2 qualifications. You get your MSc, your master's degree, and you get the graduateship of our institute as well. And that is quite, we're seeing a growing number of people like that because of the possibility of face-to-face situation. I think it's a valuable way to move forward. I want to expand the range of universities. We're making progress in Jamaica with the University of West Indies, which is a very good university. But they're doing their degrees as a Master in Laws, an LLM. Portsmouth actually isn't an MSc that's a Master of Laws, an LLM degree. So it's got more law content. About 50% of the content will be legal subject, and they usually get to 50% with a dissertation. And the dissertation, I think you get 3 credits out of 10 for a dissertation, so that's how they make up the legal content. So there are different ways of doing it. If you like travelling, the Bournemouth University offering is delivered in Guernsey. I don't know if you know where Guernsey is, but it's a small island off the northwest coast of France, which is still nominally British. The members of the faculty fly in once a month to deliver tuition on a Friday and a Saturday. And the students, then exhausted, go home. There's another 4 weeks. But it's quite a good way of getting a dual qualification. So if you want to make just, are these slides going up on your website or? They are. Okay, well. And Ulster do it full-time in Northern Ireland. They do a part-time programme in Southern Ireland, in Dublin. Okay. Some of the other things we do, we have a 2-day annual conference in London at the London Excel Centre. Big event. And we will have well over 700 on over 2 days, on the 10th and 11th of July. It's a good event, and we fill up all the exhibition space. We get a lot of exhibitors, and that helps to pay for it. You know, we make a nice profit on that. Right at the start of our financial year, because our financial year is from 1st July, so on the 10th, 11th July, we're getting all these people coming in, all these exhibitors, lots of money. We need money. There are some of the places we hold conferences. Africa, there in Zambia, Ireland, Guernsey, Jersey. This might interest you as well if you wanted a personal development program. We used to call this the Company Secretary's Development Program. We now call it the Governance Leadership Program. It's the same program. And it starts at midday on a Monday and finishes on a Thursday. And it's a pretty intensive program, including working dinners. You can't escape, because we use this nice hotel out in the country. So if you're thinking this is a way to come to the UK and go shopping in the West End of London, forget it. You better work. And your employer gets value for money. But it is a good program, and I recommend it to you because it will help you develop your skills, those soft skills. You know, when you want to influence, how do you negotiate? How do you develop your? Oh, sorry, I come adrift. Were you trying to record me? Now I've got to behave, right. So it's quite intensive, and at the end of it, the tutor who delivers this has a one-on-one session with each delegate. The maximum number for each program, we run this twice a year, the maximum number will be 12. And if there is a gap, I will put a member of my team in, because it's good for them. It's good personal development. But only if we have a vacant slot. Sometimes someone, because of work commitments, can't keep, can't attend. There's a gap. I'll put one of our people in because I think it's worth it. So as it says there, it's an executive development program for company secretaries and governance professionals that builds lasting strengths in leadership, strategy, and influencing skills. And I think as the role of the corporate secretary grows, and the importance of it grows, and the importance of respect for good governance, a program like that I think will help you to develop so that you become, if you're in the deputy position, if you're the number 2, and you want to be number one, this is a very good way of making yourself a better candidate to be numero uno. All right? Good. Okay. Where are we? Yes. Thought leadership, I've mentioned that publication, which is outside. There's some copies of that outside. You can also get it from the website. We did some work recently at the request of the UK government in conjunction with a body called the Investment Association. It represents asset managers, fund managers, the stakeholder voice in decision making. You know, companies cannot exist in a vacuum. They're not in a bubble. A company has to think about, well, the board has to define its purpose. The board has to define the values by which that purpose will be delivered. Only then can the chief executive define the governance framework within which the company will operate to deliver the purpose in harmony with the values. So that really picks up on that, and there's some copies of that report outside as well. And then what's the last one? Yes, the future of governance. You know, governance has been around for 25 years, 26 years, but where's it going? Can we just play with the existing codes and update them every 2 or 3 years? Or do we need to have a rethink about the whole purpose of governance? You know, governance now, I mean, the OECD is starting to talk about governance giving greater choice to people. Is that what governance is about? Is it the role of public companies listed on a stock exchange to implement public policy? Or is that for government? You know, these are big questions. So that paper discusses that. And again, you can download that from our website. Every 6 months we run this with the Financial Times. We run the UK, we run the boardroom bellwether, and we put in questions that the Financial Times wants, that we're interested in, and that also we ask the UK government if there's anything they want us to ask while we're doing this. It's quite interesting to find out how prepared UK companies were for the implementation of the General Data Protection Regulation in the UK, which came into force on the 25th of May, and which actually applies right outside, across the world, because any organisation or any individual sending personal data into the EU must comply with that regulation. So it was quite interesting, the lack of readiness. And if you keep an eye on these things, there's a new e-privacy regulation likely to come into force at the end of this year. So, you know, there's no escape this stuff. It's going to keep happening. We get interest on diversity. Yes, 48% of those who respond, their companies have not responded to the target for women on boards. It's got to get over 30%. It really has. It's ridiculous that it doesn't. Exposure to cyber risk, 80%. Only 22% thought their board was ethnically diverse. Only 52% had a sufficient executive pipeline. So there's a lot of work. I mean, these are UK companies. So that's just a snapshot of the situation in the UK. A lot of work to be done. Governance is here to stay. And of course, Brexit, 59% of respondents thought Brexit will cause damage to their company. I think it will. It's a moment of national madness in Britain, but there we are. We produce a magazine. There are copies outside, not of that one, but a more recent one. 10 printed copies, which we send. It's got quite a wide readership. But we also do a bi-monthly. Sorry about the typo there. The hyphen's in the wrong place. We send out those e-digests, and we've got an archive available for members. We have our study texts that Teresa has mentioned. So a variety of books that we produce, and the online knowledge service. And our awards, this is a big event. The one in this year, November, end of November, this will be the 10th of these. So it's a big industry event. We'll get, yeah, it'll be over 700. Will be at the Hilton in Park Lane. So it's a fun evening. It's a good evening, and it's not just for different aspects of governance, like the annual report, like the remuneration report, the audit report, the risk report, sustainability. But we also give awards to the Company Secretary of the Year, the Company Secretarial Team of the Year, the one to watch. So if there's a young person coming through, you know, we try and identify and reward them. I'm a great believer in young people. I think we don't recognise how good young people are. In the UK, the average age of non-executive directors is over 61 years of age. And in the last 10 years, that's gone up by 2.4 years, which is worrying. Why aren't we doing more to encourage younger people to become directors? I had my break when I was 29, a long time ago. But that was a man who, in the Second World War, had command of a lot of men and a lot of valuable equipment. And he remembered how much responsibility he was given in his 20s. Now, I'm not suggesting we need a war, but I think that mindset, I think, is important, and we need to do more to bring on young people and encourage them. For example, there are more trusteeships. Do you have charities? You must have charities in Ukraine. Yeah. You see, you need trustees for those bodies, and there are going to be more vacancies for trustees than there are vacancies for directors. It's a good way to start. So get young people involved. It's good for them. Give them responsibility. Stretch them. Let them show what they do. Young people, you know, achieve. Some young people, by the time they're 21, have achieved remarkable things. By the age of 25, they've done even more. We need to harness that. Use that enthusiasm, that vigour. Don't want old men like me. It's young people. That's what we want. So I've got a younger wife. That helps me. Much younger wife. So that's an aspect of that awards program that I think is really, really important. So there are many ways to join us. You can become a chartered secretary, and under the new scheme you'll get both designations. So if you sign up with us, and it'd be easier particularly for the lawyers and the accountants, you can, at the end of it, you can get both designations. If you do one of the standalone qualifications that Teresa was highlighting, you can become an affiliated member with post-nominals. If you just want to join up because you want access to the website, to publications, to events at a discount, then you can become a professional subscriber, or you can just get involved with training or events delegates. So whatever. But I hope that snapshot has given you a better idea of what we do. I'm really grateful, Alexander, to you and Natalia, thank you both, and the team at the office for doing this. Really appreciate it. But I hope it's helpful. UCGI is a recognised exam centre of ours. So you can take the exams here at their premises, if you're that, I hope you will be, that enthusiastic. And you know, we're proud to have UCGI as a partner with us for that. In fact, they're very good to us. They're even allowing me to speak again this afternoon on at the forums. I think we're there. Oh yes. Oh, there's more here. The affiliated membership. She looks happy. She's passed an exam. Teresa, have you got to go?
Thank you very much.
Thanks ever so much.
I certainly hope I will welcome you all as students and eventually as full members. And when you graduate, that you come over to London for our graduation, where we get about 300, 400, 500 people. So it would be great to see some of the faces.
Yeah, it'd be lovely.
I've got photographs of you, so I remember who you are. Thank you ever so much.
Okay,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Well done. I'll either see you in the office on Monday, or I'll see you in Accra on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'm there Tuesday, so.
Oh, you're there. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll meet. We'll meet again. All right.
Yes, we will.
Thanks, T. Bye bye.
Thank you.
She's fantastic. She's absolutely fantastic. There we are. Thank you. And one of the team told me what thank you in Ukrainian is, and I've forgotten. But what- I agree. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions? I see the cameraman's arm go up, and I sort of think he's asking a question, but he's not. No. Please.
Could you please tell us a little bit more about the risk management program? Maybe what areas are actually covered?
Do you know? I don't know. Because it is one of the new modules, but it will. No, I'm not going to pretend I know, because I don't. I don't know enough, but we can get you more information.
Okay, maybe you have something on your website. Maybe
There could be. I think there could be. I'm wondering if I've got anything in my bag. No, I've only got the outline of the syllabus. I haven't got the detail, but I can send it. We can send it to you. I tell you what. I'm going to give all of you a copy of one of these, because I think Teresa's the person to inquire of. She can do all of that. I ought to know, and I don't. Tell you what. If I give you. Do you want to take one and pass them on? Sure. Thank you very much. And do you want to do the same?
Do you consider the second program better?
Sorry?
Do you consider the second program the new one?
The new one, yes.
Better
Much.
than the existing one?
Much.
What way?
The first one was that we really wanted to raise the standard. And it did raise the standard. It made a big improvement. But I think this one, we're trying not to over-examine. We did some market research. We consulted 845 students, tutors, employers, and other organisations, HR directors, who often hold training budgets. And one message that came through was we were over-examining, just doing too much. And so we've tried to condense the programme, reduce the amount of law, reduce the amount of finance, give more focus to governance, and more focus to soft skills like boardroom dynamics, and then to bring in the module about which you're interested in. I'm sorry I can't give you the answer you want, but we just think this will be a better, broader programme and more helpful. So if you're thinking about doing this and thinking about but waiting, then you may. I think you could start the existing programme so long as you do the right modules, and then you can move across onto the new programme. So provided you're doing modules where there is a cut across, then that's fine. But I think it is a better programme, yes. I think the case study involved examining twice. Students resented that. So I think that was case studies were popular at that time, so 2010, 2011. But I think they're seen actually to put too much burden on students. We used to have 2 law modules, one's enough. We used to have 2 finance modules, we have 1. The finance module's big, but it's not as big as the 2 combined used to be. But all in all, I think yes, I think this would be a much better qualification. All right?
Okay.
Okay.
And I get another question.
Yeah.
Or I think
No, carry on. That's all right. Well, and then right, you're next. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you get. Let's have yours.
Sorry?
Yes, let's have your question.
Yes. Excuse me, can we work as a corporate secretary in the UK after any of these courses?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The big challenge, and I mean I admire you that you can sit here and listen to me in English.
We can, no?
Yeah, no, with this, if you are you a lawyer?
Yes.
You're one of the lawyers, right. How long have you been qualified?
I am an attorney at law, and I work as a lawyer more than 10 years.
Fine, you're in. and you're working in you work in the corporate secretariat?
Some years I worked as a corporate secretary,
Okay.
but not all years.
If you send your profile to Teresa, and she'll let you know whether you qualify for the fast track. Because then with those 2 modules, yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, and you speak English. You know, away you go. But the beauty of this qualification is it's portable. Once you've got this one, you can travel.
Okay, thank you very much.
So that's the beauty of it. The Irish love it. So it means the Irish love travelling. You know, it's in the culture. So back to you.
It's the same question.
Same question.
Yeah.
You're one of the lawyers, aren't you? Yes, right. The important thing is you're not just working as an attorney in a law firm. You need to be working in a company, or perhaps in a government agency or something like that, as a corporate administrator, corporate secretariat role. Okay, that's the important point, because it's not just a way of helping attorneys or accountants who are working for a law firm or accountancy practice to get another qualification. It's designed to help those who are getting practical experience as a corporate secretary to go to the next level. All right? Okay. Any more? Please. One of the 2 accountants. And I love accountants, really.
I've just seen one slide of yours which actually provides us information about international finance program. So maybe you can tell us something
Yes.
more precisely about
That, it's a lower level qualification. It was designed to meet the requirements of the regulators in Guernsey and Jersey and the Isle of Man as offshore financial centres. Now I shouldn't say offshore, it's a dirty word. International financial centres. So it is set at, the certificate is set at first year UK undergraduate level.
Okay, and they have some higher level.
Yes, that's second year UK undergraduate level, the diploma. But that is enough to satisfy the regulators in those jurisdictions, also in Cayman, in the British Virgin Islands, Barbados, and in a lot of other international financial centres, that people being employed by trust companies, by corporate service providers, have got the level of comprehension and ability to satisfy the requirements of the regulator. So it's going to be a much lower qualification than either of you will have as accountants. But I mean, it could, you know, there's one aspect of the level 5 qualification which we offer as a standalone, and that is it's a certificate in funds management. Now we offer that one module in that diploma as a standalone qualification. And funds management is becoming an increasingly important area of practice. So that's available as well, because that won't be covered. I mean, funds management isn't going to be covered by your accountancy studies. Is that all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Did you get a card when they came around? You've all got one, have you? Okay. You don't, right? We'll send them round. This will keep Teresa busy. Any more needed? No? Back row? Right. All the bad boys and girls in the back row. Why does everyone always sit in the back row? Anyone else? But if you have any questions on what Teresa was presenting, my card is here as well, if you want that one. So that's here. You've got one already. You got in early. We are. I haven't got so many of these. I think the front row is going to win. Right, there's a gentleman there who didn't have one there. There we are. Thank you very much. And you want one too. And there we are. Any more? All right. This is popular, isn't it? It's a good game. 1, 2, and 1 on the end. And the lady there. Anybody else? Right. Moderate popularity. Oh, there we are. Good out. Fine. Happy to hear from you. I will try and reply as quickly as I can, or put you in touch with somebody who can answer. I'm awfully sorry I can't answer your question. I'm embarrassed actually. I should have been able to answer that and I can't. I could have done 6 months ago when we were a typical lawyer. You know, you master your brief for the moment and then you move on to the next job. You recognise that, don't you? Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
I think we're done. Any more questions? Please.
Probably Natalia.
I just like to say that there are some materials outside on tables.
Yeah.
You can pick them. Так, якщо потрібно матеріали презентації, як Саймона та Терези, ми розпочнемо. Ну, я presiding officer Презентаційного центру ICSA України. Там теж можна взяти мої контакти, якщо якісь питання щодо процедури самої подання документів, перед exemptions, перед зарахувань.
А вот это материал?
Воно буде в нас на сайті викладено в розділі кваліфікацій. Я там складу, можна взяти. На всі контакти на сайті.
Was that all right? I hope that helped. Yeah. And again,